What is up, Terp fans? Welcome into another Shell Shock experience. I'm Matt Moderno. I'm joined here today by Jon Graham, member of the Terps from 2013 through 2015 on that really, really good 2014-2015 team. Brought a lot of strong post defense, perimeter, paint touch skill, all those things, Jon. I think you were so great at scoring around the basket too. I wish you'd had more opportunities to get to do that, but also just a lot of veteran leadership too. So thank you for your contribution to the Terps and welcome to the program.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate you bringing me on here.
Yeah, it should be fun. We'll just kind of catch up on things and take people down memory road here a little bit. I think everybody always loves to do that. It's usually a little more of a preferable thing to do when the Terps are struggling, but this year's Terps team is really good, so I want to talk about that a bit with you too. As always, we're brought to you by Vision Media Solutions, the top media management company in the DMV. So see them for web design, videography, and more. Also brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, you name it. For every three-pointer and every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Also, thanks to Inside Maryland Sports for putting the episodes of the podcast here on their YouTube channel as well. You can also check us out at the Department of Hoops on YouTube. So plenty of places to find good Terps content. Jon, maybe let's just start with, you were a two-time All-Metro selection, really, really good high school player, averaged 18 and 10 and 3.5 blocks. In your senior season for Calvert Hall, you guys went 21 and 7, ran the Baltimore Catholic Tournament Championship that year and upset a number one Mount St. Joseph team. Why Penn State? What led you down that road to start things out for college?
Back then, obviously everyone, raised the question of like, hey, are you going to go to Maryland and follow your dad? Sure. And it's like, yeah, of course it was definitely on my mind, but it's like at the same time, I had to, pay attention. Like, this is my career. I got to make sure I make the best decision for myself at the time. And during that time, my freshman year, Penn State offered the best opportunity for me, like at the time. So when I got there, everything felt like it was just the right decision from coaching to the atmosphere to the team. And it just felt like it was the better fit for me at the time. Ultimately I had a wonderful 3 years there. I made a lot of great friends, really got exposure to like, just a different setting. Mm-hmm. And before ultimately coming home and, to get a chance to fulfill my dream to be a Terp. And, I can't tell you like what that first day was like, just a whole bunch of energy, nerves, all that. So, but yeah, at the time, Penn State was just like, this is the right choice for me.
It's just far enough away from home. You get a little separation from those things, but still close enough. Family and things like that can come up and see you play. So that makes a lot of sense too, just to have us kind of best of both worlds there a little bit. So why the decision ultimately transfer back to Maryland or back home to Maryland?
Going through like most college careers, normally like 4 years, I ended up being blessed enough to have the fifth year. And over time, things has changed, situations change, the atmospheres change, and then new opportunities also come about. And amazingly so, I hear about this opportunity to have to be in Maryland. And I was like, I was talking to my dad about it, and I was like, you're serious? Like, I was like, I wasn't sure if he was like serious about it or not. Yeah. But when Alex Lynn back then entered the draft, he wore number 25. Yeah. And that somehow opened up a spot for me. And I was just like, well, if the opportunity is there, I got to take it. Of course, like getting a chance to come home and, just be with my friends from high school, but also being close to home, my family, as at a time, there were a few issues that we needed to take care of as a family. And I'm glad I got a chance to go back and do that. But best of both worlds situation, I get to help my family, but also get to go to the university and basketball program of my dreams.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I don't know, did somebody on the coaching staff reach out to you? Or did they reaching out to dad? Like, how'd they go about that?
Yeah, Coach Bino Ranson at the time was the assistant coach there, and I've known Bino forever. He coached with me, coached against me in AAU, all through middle school and high school and everything. So very familiar face there. My father knows him pretty well, so that line of communication started. And then as the offseason came, things were changing, and yeah, a chance opened up, and I just I had to take it.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, for sure. I have a quote here from you. At some point, you said, the original mission I had when I was 10 years old was to go to Maryland and break my dad's scoring record. What was that? What point did that change? I don't know. That's a pretty cool memory to have as a kid. And I've heard you talk to a little bit about like how you learned just how good your dad was in a karate class too. So if you could tell that story again too, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, way back when I want to say I was about 8 years old. I did not to do anything with sports other than karate. I was really more of a computer game guy. Sure. I was all over different computer games. I would play, Nintendo 64 all the time. I was a big nerd, so I didn't really do much with sports, but karate was kind of a way to get me a little bit of exercise going. And yeah, I just remember that. It's crazy that, this was like that long ago. I just remember that day where my karate teacher and my dad were talking. I'm wrapping up. I remember vividly, honestly. I'm wrapping up, ready to go home and everything. And it's like, he starts telling me like, hey, do you know about your dad's time in basketball? He was a bad boy. And I'm like, hold on. Like, well, I didn't hear about any of this. Yeah. Like, what happened? What was going on there? So then as I hear about that, now I'm curious. I'm like, hey, Dad, can I learn a little bit more about this? Mm-hmm. And I started hearing more stories. I started actually seeing he had some game tape back when he was playing. Nice. And I got to see a little bit of that. So it's like, yeah, like I like this. I want to try it. And at the time, I was starting to get more curious about basketball. And then I got my first video game, NBA Courtside 96 with Kobe Bryant. And that's nice. How I fell in love with the game of basketball. Mm-hmm. Became a huge Laker fan, a big Kobe Bryant guy. And just my curiosity for basketball just kept growing and growing. Next thing you know, I'm like, you know what? I want to try this. And then I remember going to, because Maryland Madness always fell around my birthday at the time back then. So I would get a group of my close friends around. We'd go to Pizza Hut, chill out a little bit, maybe do some go-karts. And then we head over to Maryland Madness. And I would look around the rafters because at this time I know my dad's history and how great he was and how he had that 44-point game that to this day still hasn't been broken. No three-point line, by the way. So I'm looking around, all the greats are up there, and I'm confused. Like, well, where's my dad's?
He's not there. Yeah, exactly.
And he just kind of he didn't really have much of an answer for me. And like on that night, it was just like, I'm gonna do what I can to fix this. I'm gonna work hard in basketball, get as good as I can to be good enough to come here one day, break your scoring record. So they got to put our jersey up there. Well, and the funny thing is, I think the night that his jersey did go out, I was still at Penn State at the time. We were playing against Iowa, tight game, against a great team out there. And it just came down to me actually making game-winning free throws. I wasn't the best free throw shooter at the time, but it came down to me making game-winning free throws. And as that went on, my dad's jersey went up in the rafters. So you can't write it better than that. So getting a chance to come home as now a player, because I always knew that I would come back to Maryland at some point. I always felt that, whether it be as an opponent or as a Terp. And crazy enough, Maryland goes to the Big Ten. I'm like, you can't write this any better. Like it's fate at this point. So I'm finally coming home as a Terp. I see the jersey, first Maryland Madness. I'm walking down the stairs in Cole Fieldhouse, and I see my dad in the corner, and I just point to him like, "We're here. We're here after all these years, and let's do it. We got some more of the story to write."
Did he have to give you special permission, written down somewhere to wear the same jersey number? I don't know how that works after something's officially retired or not. If you got to get a.
If he tried to say I need a special permission, I think I honestly would have made a laugh. And like, you got to be kidding me, right? Like after all this time, right. It's finally here, and I got to ask you for permission. Come on, man! It was it's basically a birthright. Like,
absolutely, yeah. That would be cruel and unusual if they'd pulled something on that one too. Yeah. For anybody not familiar, we've buried the lead here. John, obviously a very good player. Your dad was a crazy good player too. Ended up, taking the Terps team on a deep run. Drafted by the 76ers. That's not right.
Yeah. So 76ers. Yep.
One of the all-time great Terps here too. So just awesome to have a second-generation Terp on here too. And I think you can provide kind of a unique perspective on some of the things I want to ask you about here later in the program, and just the job they do kind of reconnecting with past generations, because we've got kind of 2 layers of experience there. But just let's talk a little bit about your career here first and just kind of go through this. Career high 16 points at the time for Maryland in a win over Penn State, 64-58. You had 16 points, which is awesome there. What was that moment like, just kind of playing your old team there and having such a good game?
You kind of just had a feeling in the air. Like I remember Coach Chambers, who was my coach at Penn State after I left. He was still there. I remember in his press conference after the game, he's like, "I knew it was going to happen," because it's one of those moments where it's like the player and the team. So like you see it all the time. Like a former player comes back and plays against his old team, things start happening. So. I mean, again, it was just an awesome atmosphere. I was locked in because what a lot of people didn't know is that before that game, we took a bad loss at Ohio State against D'Angelo Russell and that great team they had there. They beat us pretty good, and I took that pretty personal because I felt like I didn't do my job when I was out there, which is to bring energy and bring toughness. I feel like I failed my team at that time, so I really took that loss to heart pretty bad. I didn't leave my room really the next day when we had an off day. I didn't talk to anybody, didn't, do much. So I was just locked in on this next game, which happened to be Penn State. So I was like, well, I feel like I had to redeem myself from that previous loss, but also it gave me a little extra juice saying, like, I get to go against my old roommates, my old coaching staff and all that. So, ended up being an awesome game. We played really well, and that was the start of us getting our season back on track.
Everybody always uses the term revenge game. I know that's not the case there for you because you left on good terms and things, but there's just something extra about that, right? Like I got to kind of show both fan bases here a little bit. Like,
yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Like I never. There was never any bad blood with me with Penn State leaving and everything. Again, all those guys, I gave them all hugs before the game and after the game, coaching staff as well. Nothing but love there. So I can't use the term revenge game, but it's definitely fun where it's like, okay, now I'm on the other side. Let's see what I can do against you guys. And so it was awesome to get the win, and they made it tough as I expected. Penn State has always been a gritty, tough Big Ten team, and we were rookies in the league, so they were trying to like show us like, hey, this is what the conference is all about.
Yep.
And we at the same time, I was like, hey, all right, I get that, but you in Maryland's house too, and there's a lot of pride there, like to protect your house. So it brought me just. I never had a problem, bringing energy or having juice, but having that was just extra.
There's just like that little extra rivalry there for Maryland fans with Penn State, I think, just because there are so many Penn State fans here in the area. And especially recently, like that's been a really tough place for Maryland to go in and play. There's just something about that building that they kind of always overachieve against Maryland, it seems like, too. So even at the time, like that just seemed like, hey, we need this one. And I think they really needed the extra, infusion of energy you gave them that game, too. So that was really cool to watch at the time.
Definitely.
2014, 2015 team, you guys were 28-7. You finished 14-4, which is second in the Big Ten. Finished 12th in the final AP poll. It just must have been a fun season of basketball to be a part of. Like winning. It's nice when you like the guys on the team and everything, but winning just feels like it adds a little extra juice to everything there, or kind of magnifies everything. So, what was that like from your perspective?
Yeah, winning solves a lot of problems, cures a lot, and that's one of my favorite teams of all time, if not my favorite team of all time. Just locked in from the beginning. There was a lot of controversy and turmoil with the program at the time because a lot of guys were transferring out. There were a lot of questions about what this team could become. What were they even going to look like? Because we had a bunch of freshmen and rookies coming in, including Melo Trimble, and a lot of people just didn't really know what we would look like. But we inside the locker room knew early what we had and what we were building. It started with everyone getting together early in the summertime. I'm coaching, working with a great Kyle Terp, who's the strength trainer at Maryland to this day. Working with him and getting us going mentally and physically. We stayed together all summer. We grinded all summer and pushed each other every day. So it was like we knew in the building what we had. We were just excited to show the world what they didn't know about us yet. And we really came out and surprised a lot of people. And we caught fire. We had wins against great teams like Iowa State with Georges Niang, and just a great Arizona State team in that opening tournament in Kansas City. And I feel like that's when we started getting some recognition. Like, hey, this team's actually for real. We get our rankings, but like, okay, but now you got to go into the Big Ten. This is Maryland's first year in the Big Ten. I think we were picked 10th that year. So a lot of people really didn't have much faith in us. We took that personal as well. So we really wanted to make a statement, starting with that first game at Michigan State. Great, one of the great atmospheres in college basketball. Of course, the great Tom Izzo, who still coaches there. We wanted to make a statement. We want to make a statement, let them know that, hey, like, we're the new guys, but we're here to take over. And I feel like that's what we did by and large through this year. Although we finished second to a Wisconsin team that ended up going to the national championship, we actually beat them at home too, as I remember that. But yeah, it was all about proving a lot of people wrong, but really proving ourselves right. Like we knew who we were early on, but we needed to prove it to everyone else.
I always think about this of like what were kind of the most fun Maryland teams to experience, over the last decade or so. And that one really stands out to me. I think for the reason you just mentioned is that it was kind of unexpected. Sometimes when teams like have a little bit of like expectations come in, and even if they meet them, it's like, yeah, that was a good season, but kind of par for the course here a little bit. But like you said, there were names that people were not familiar with that came in and produced right away there. And especially, can't underwrite the contributions of Melo Trimble that particular season. And I used to play pickup with a guy that was training him in high school. And he was like, hey, there's this kid coming to Maryland next year. You're going to love him. And I was like, yeah, okay, right. Everybody's going to hype up the guy they train. And then, obviously caught fire as a freshman. I guess what point in that season or that summer did you guys know, like, hey, this kid's going to be special. He's going to be different.
Melo was one of the best players I've ever gotten a chance to play with. And I was talking with my teammate, Evan Smotrich, at the time. And we were just like, we were wrapping up practice one day, and we were kind of just like looking at each other like, Melo's really good. Like and like the thing is like he didn't think that he was a point guard from what I was hearing from coach, and then a couple guys, I'm like, no, this kid can definitely play point guard. Let's get that out of the way. Like he's very capable. Sure. But yeah, so we knew like what was coming with him. It was just a matter of him really just getting the experience. He's a rookie. He's a freshman. He has no idea what college basketball is like, but he just steadily got better and better as the season came on. And I think a defining moment where it was like, yeah, Melo Trimble was here was that game. I remember that game against Arizona State where Dez went down. He was a little injured. I think Evan was already injured at the time as well. And we needed like someone to take over. And Melo really just exploded. I think he had about 30 points again in that game. And like we were all like, well, it's about time. Here he is. So it's like
he knew he could do this. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's cool. Just that one. I think that was the game I remember too, where I was just like, oh, okay, like there's another gear here that sometimes you kind of need that opportunity to open up. Obviously, you don't want guys to get hurt, but it just frees you up to kind of do your thing a little bit, and that paid dividends, later in the season.
It just made us all the more dangerous. Like once Des and Evan got healthy and back in the lineup, so I'm like, yeah, well, now you got to deal with everybody. And there's no one you can really not deal with.
Yeah, for sure. Mark Turgeon always kind of praised you on that team as a leader of that group. Obviously, Des was a senior, Rashad Pack was a senior, but I think you kind of gave them that veteran presence in the front court as well. Obviously, DeMonte was still a sophomore, so he was kind of growing into the player. He ended up being for the Terps down the road there. But I just, when Mark Turgeon talks about like, hey, this guy's work ethic and character and all those things, like, Maryland fans know Mark was big on guys that are going to play hard and always bring it. So how nice was it to hear those kind of things from your coach?
It meant the world to me. Mark Turgeon is the reason why I had a chance to live out my dream to be a Maryland Terp, and I'm forever grateful to him. He'll never know how much that meant to me and my family. But hearing those words, that was who I am. That's who I am still to this day. Forget basketball. When we talk about life and everything, you got to work hard and get after it. That's who I am. But to hear that from coach, hearing that resonate through the team and everything was, it meant a lot to me. It's something I wore on my sleeve where it's like, that's who I need to be every single day. I can't pick and choose that because the freshmen are watching me. The younger guys in the front court like DeMonte, Checo, they're watching me. They're paying attention to how I carry myself and what I do every single day. So it was a responsibility that I was definitely ready to take, and just wanted to keep that going every single day and be consistent.
There were things like, I don't know, there's some coaches where you get a certain amount of coach speak from them. I feel like Mark kind of didn't mince words about those things. So if he said it, he kind of meant, that deep down, which is great. And absolutely. I don't know how much he said that to you guys directly and gave you compliments to your face with stuff like that, but it's cool to hear that in the media. And obviously it showed through on the court. No matter how much playing time you got in the game, like you were always hyped for your teammates or pulling a guy aside and kind of in their ear a little bit. And DeMonte was on in a previous episode, and he said, like, not only did you help him a lot, but also your dad helped him a lot too, and gave him some pointers along the way too. So shout out to both of you guys for helping.
Yeah, he's always coaching. Like he can't really help himself. I laugh to this day about how like I would always hear him growing up wherever I played, middle school, high school, AAU, and I was like, well, Dad, when I get to college, I'm not going to be able to hear you because the fans are going to be a lot louder. And he was like, you'll hear me. And lo and behold, I remember that we had some loud games at Xfinity Center. So I'm like, there's no way I'm hearing him. I still heard him. So I was just like, he wasn't kidding.
Hey, I can't underrate Pops on something like that, right? Like that, they're going to get their message across if they need to.
Yep.
What was Coach Turgeon like to play for? What was, I don't know, how some guys fit better with different coaches or whatever. It seems like you guys would kind of mesh well just because you were a hard player and things like that and did things the right way. But I don't like to hear that from your perspective. Yeah,
man. There's everyone has their opinion on my coaching styles and everything. But for me, Coach Turgeon brought a very like calming atmosphere, to the team. And it's something that like for me personally, I definitely needed that, to have that in practice. Obviously we work hard. We're trying to get better. We're trying to win games and all that. But the atmosphere was always, it was calm. It was never like, you felt, things were, even if you had a bad loss or if something like that, we took responsibility as players and we upped the ante in practice. Coach never really brought that hostile atmosphere, so to speak. It was always very calm and just like, it was confidence. It was like, hey, we tripped up here, but let's get better. Let's keep getting better. Let's learn from these mistakes and get ready for the next game. It was very, you can call it cliche, basic, whatever, but like it was simple. He did a great job of like simplifying things and just instilling confidence in us.
I think sometimes we forget as fans too, like you guys have lives and classes and all this other stuff. Sometimes just making basketball a little more simple and straightforward of just like, hey, let's get back to doing what we do. And and start over. It's a new day, like is really helpful for players, I think, too.
Absolutely.
I will never forgive West Virginia for that tournament game, just beating up on Melo the entire time there. I guess I can imagine. So how long did it take you guys kind of get over after that loss, or at least for you individually? Because it just seems like that team had they could have made a special run there, and I don't know, you guys lost basically or like a rugby game on a basketball court. It felt like.
It still pisses me off, to be honest with you. Again, like you said, they knocked up my guy Melo. West Virginia's a physical team, as we know. They've always been that way, but there was a little extra chirping going on, and I hated losing to a team like that. It was like, okay, you got us, but you're chirping a little bit extra and everything, and you knocked my guy out. So but hey, the better team won that day. We had it, and it's still an amazing season. Like you said, 28 wins. I think that's still the most that a Maryland team has had in a season, I think, in history, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it was. I still think about it. It definitely never escapes my mind. And I think about that bracket, where we could have gone, who we could have been going up against. And I remember we would have played that Kentucky team that had Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker, and all the stars and everything. I would have been very excited to get that opportunity to step on the floor with those guys and really see how we measured up. I had a lot of confidence. I felt like had we got past that West Virginia fight, so to speak, I think we really could have did something there. But that's to each their own. It's still an amazing season, great memories, great people that I've been around with. And you just kind of move forward from there.
It might be the delusional fan in me, we'll never know, but I just always felt like you guys matched up really well with that Kentucky team on paper. And it would have just, like you said, been just fun to see the chance there, the opportunity to get to do it.
Yeah.
So before we do these, I always like to go back and watch just at least a few clips of guys that we're going to have on the show when they play, just so my memory doesn't trick me at all. And I always remember you having really good footwork, but also the ability to finish with both hands over both shoulders, and kind of underrated stuff. I think that people maybe don't pay as much attention to. Was that something your dad preached early on, of just being fundamentally sound? Was that just coaches you had otherwise? I guess, how did you kind of get solid? There are guys today that are lottery picks that can't finish with their left hand, but I felt like you did that as well as your right hand most of the time.
That is 100% my dad. He was all about the fundamentals early on. He made me have to there was times he would host a camp or whatever, or we work out and it's all right, you can only shoot jumpers, no layups when you play one-on-one against someone. I hated that because I was I can easily dominate this if I go to the hole, but he made me want to have to shoot jumpers, and I got better from that. I continued to expand my game from that. Okay, you can only use your left hand. Don't use your right. Obviously, my strong hand is my right hand. So again, got me a little upset because I'm hey, I can dominate if I go this way, but I got to learn how to use both hands. So, and my left hand really became a weapon for me because a lot of guys were just expecting me to go one direction, and just being able to go left just really open it up for me offensively. But yeah, fundamentals. Watching guys like Tim Duncan growing up, Mr. Fundamental himself, and just learning from just one of the greatest players of all time from the University of Maryland in your house is just amazing. So I've been lucky. I was very lucky to have that opportunity, and I definitely took advantage of it.
The other thing I noticed from watching these clips were just how long the shorts were, especially at Maryland when you played there. Got a couple where shorts are almost mid calf, and now guys are rocking the short shorts again. So I don't know, where do you sit 10 years later? Would you go short shorts or long shorts? Where are we at with that?
Yeah, I don't mind the short shorts. I mean, whatever feels comfortable to you. I remember before I got to college, I was like, what are they wearing? Why were your shorts? I'm like, Dad, why were your shorts so small? They look like diapers or whatever. So we laughed and joked about that. But it's crazy how trends just continue to circle back and come back and forth and everything. From hairstyles to how you wear clothes to basketball shorts and everything. You see a lot of guys that are rocking the 80s, 70s type of shorts now. And hey, it's each their own, whatever's comfortable for you.
I'm from the long shorts generation myself, so I'm still partial to that when I go out and play here a little bit. At least not too short. Just funny, you guys weren't playing that long ago, just to see how different the style is between now and then. Doesn't feel like it should change that much, but just going back in time here a little bit as well. I think that's part of the goal here with Shell Shock, is to just sort of reestablish that connection with former Terps and former players, and just help kind of build up this community a little bit and get some excitement, get guys going kind of in the summer. And, with transfer portal, all this stuff, basketball is a year-round thing, but this is a way to kind of connect with some Terps that, people loved throughout their careers and things like that. So just, I don't know, any thoughts from your perspective, John, as a former player, about the value of something like Shell Shock and TBT?
Yeah, it's amazingly valuable. It's something that I wish that Maryland had done ages ago. Quite frankly, ever since the TBT tournament became a thing, like you see like all these great college players you remember watching with these great teams, and they're getting the band back together. So I'm sitting there like,
yeah, exactly.
Why hasn't Maryland done this? What's going on here? So when I finally found out about Shell Shock, I was ecstatic. I was like, this should have happened long ago, and it's good to bring back greats that used to go to this great university that are still active, playing overseas and everything. But you just for the fans, for Terp Nation, this is amazing for them. This is something that, hey, I remember that guy. I remember this team. And then you start getting that nostalgia, and now the fans are going back in time saying that was an awesome year. It's good to now, and it's like you're combining players from those different eras, and it's like
exactly.
To me, it's awesome. I really wish continued success for this program that continues to come back every single year, and that we keep getting guys to come back and play.
I always thought, like, as fans, like, oh, if this guy had lasted 1 year longer and played with this group of guys, like, now it's a chance to see those dudes actually out there together a little bit too, which I think is super cool. Are you still hooping any of these days? Or we're going to see you back out there? Or what's the plan?
Nah, I'm definitely slowing down with basketball these days. I'm just kind of focusing on my work and just staying active. I still work out at least 5 or 6 times a week just to stay in shape, for anything. But I'm not doing too much basketball anymore these days, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm sure just playing that much college basketball too, you probably took a pretty big pounding throughout the years. So it's just probably easier on the knees sometimes not to go out and hoop a bunch of days now too.
Yeah, when you start hitting your 30s, you start thinking about like things like your knees, and like you wake up in the morning, it's like, oh wait, where'd that come from? I'm kind of like a little more sore than I thought I was, from the night before playing. So yeah, but and in the end, it's like I can look back and just say like I achieved a lifelong dream of mine from when I was 8 years old. Doing everything I could to get to Maryland and say like I became a Terp, and that's what I wanted, for my family and definitely for my dad. So that's really like an awesome storybook for me.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a cool story for fans to follow too, just because of that connection. And you guys seem super close, and you could see him kind of leaning down to say stuff to you during games like that too. So I'm sure that was huge for him throughout to have that.
That was my hero, man. That's my favorite player of all time in basketball, period. So getting a chance to do that and see like just how happy like my family was and how I was, with him, it was awesome. And, that's my guy. My dad's really like just my right hand man. He's my number one. He's my hero.
I love that. Yeah, it's something extra to bond over too, and now to have that deeper connection of doing that.
Yeah,
this is the one I wanted to ask you.
I still didn't break his record. That's the one thing that we laugh about, but at least we got
okay.
The other way.
Hey, you know what, man? Neither has anybody else, like you said. So I think that's okay to not have had the opportunity to do that. You got to get a lot of shots up to get 40+ points. So
that you do.
That's tough. For you guys, I guess just one of the things I think this program as a whole could do a better job of is just bringing guys back from different eras and actually promoting it. Sometimes you'll see guys in the building just walking around and they never end up, on the big screen or anything like that. You didn't even know they were in the building. Or I'll text a guy to set up one of these and he's like, oh, I'm going to be at the Maryland game that night. And then nobody ever mentions it. Like, I just think, like that would be big for them to try to bring guys back in, establish that connection a little bit more. You've got sort of 2 generations here you can speak to a little bit, but is that something you wish that they would emphasize a little bit more as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I missed the alumni game. That was something that I grew up on,
cool.
As a Maryland fan before I even started playing basketball. Really, like I loved coming back and watching the alumni game, getting the guys up there. I dreamed about like, oh hey, well I'm an alumni now. Let's get my dad out there so I can cross him up a little bit.
That'd be great.
Little things like that, and like you miss again. It's part of that nostalgia that we talk about with Shell Shock. I feel like you got to bring that back with Maryland Madness. The point is to get excited about the team and get excited about Maryland basketball. Why not bring back the alumni game? That'd be one of the first things that I would want I would vote for as far as like keeping that connection going with the alumni.
I love that. Honestly, I kind of hadn't thought about that in a long time, but I guess like growing up, that was like one of my favorite parts of Midnight Madness was seeing that. And like Johnny Rhodes was always still out there, like 20 years after he retired playing. It's like I just saw him yesterday, by the way. He looks like he could still play. So if we get an alumni game going, some of these guys, it'd just be cool to see them out there on the court, like we said, with certain guys from different eras too. So great idea. Hopefully they're hearing this.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. They need to do that for sure.
All right, so we'll see if we can make some connections here with the program and pass that word along with them a little bit. John, you mentioned just sort of what you're up to now. Like, fill us in, catch us up on things, life. Where are you these days? What are you working on? How's everything?
So I'm still living in the Baltimore area downtown. I'm working for the Department of Defense now as a contracting specialist. It's been awesome for the past year and a half. I've been doing that, and that's been great. Working with some great people. Just creating a new career path. On post basketball, and I'm really happy about it. Hasn't been a whole lot going on outside of that, but obviously staying close with the Maryland program, still keeping an eye on the team, and excited for what this team this year has done. And I think they have the potential to really do something in March.
Yeah, perfect segue. Just what's the ceiling for this team? Like, how big a run do you think they can make?
The Crab Five.
That's so good, man.
It took me a minute to kind of catch on to the name. I was like, we could have did a little better than that, but okay, I get it. We're in Maryland for crab seafood.
It's catchy though once you get in on it. I think.
Yeah,
it's something different.
It's a little corny, but I
do like for sure.
Yeah, but I love the starting five with Gillespie, Miguel, Rice, and then Derek Queen and Juju Reese down low. They've just been, especially in the Big, they've been dominant in the Big Ten this year. And I think they have the potential to. The ceiling, there is none. I just think that they match up really well with a lot of teams, and what they have is that you don't see a lot in college basketball is that you have a big time duo in the front court. Queen is great. He has great passing ability, can stretch the floor, can score on anyone. Matchup nightmare, absolutely. And then you got Juju Reese down there at center, just dominating the paint, and that's a little bit of old school basketball that you miss every now and then. So you got a duo like that. You got to run that offense through them, and it opens up shots for your guards. Rodney Rice has been amazing. He's like a microwave, like J.R. Smith used to be. Just once he gets hot, look out. And Gillespie has been a great point guard. Just very, very solid defensively as well. Just continues to make all the right decisions. And Selton Miguel, I see a lot of Des Wells and Selton Miguel just from a toughness standpoint, and especially on defense, and then the attitude there. You need a little bit. Got
a little edge to him. Yeah,
you need a little bit of that going on with the team to kind of get him going. So I see that, and I guess my only little concern with that is the bench. Because you never want to be like top heavy as a team, but I think overall, this team's hungry. I can see it from Coach Willard. I can see it from this team. They have the ability to match up with anybody. I would look out for them in March. I would probably not be too comfortable if I was matching up with them in March if I were anyone else in the country.
That's a tough scout on short notice playing that team too, because they can beat you a lot of different ways. Like if one front court guy is shut down, the other guy can have just as big a night. And I think a lot of teams, they're not going to have like two really strong post defenders in modern basketball. So somebody's going to get theirs, and then you stop one of the guards, you got two other ones that can go out there and light you up too. So I'm with you. I think they're going to be able to be malleable enough to meet whatever challenge comes their way, and just got to keep shooting the ball well and stay out of foul trouble. And I think they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, they're a great 3-point shooting team. They take great shots, and again, they have a tough thing like a duo in the post inside. So they use that. They can beat anybody. I mean anybody, including Duke. Somebody that doesn't seem to want to play Maryland. I don't know what's going on there,
man.
It's been I was in the last game, Maryland versus Duke, so That's how long it's been. So I wonder what the deal is with that. I guess we won't know, but if we happen to run into them into the tournament, there's no more running. So I don't know what's going on there, but I do want to call Duke basketball and say I don't know what the deal is, why you guys don't want to play Maryland anymore.
Fucking us, man.
But I think Coach K's retired. Let's kind of bury this little petty. We left the ACC for the Big Ten thing and start scheduling some games with Maryland. That's what I would say.
We're recording this the day after Duke just put one on Illinois by like 50 points. And all I could think was
that's fine. Illinois is in Maryland.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been a perfect time if they wanted to play a Big Ten team and get people hyped for it right now. That's a great thing for college basketball is to reignite, those old rivalries.
All those years with the ACC Big Ten challenge, and not one time did Duke match up with Maryland.
Can't be a coincidence.
I don't. It's a little weird to me, but I know it's not coming from our side. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, it smells a little fishy to me too. So we got to have somebody else look into that one here for us a little bit, because I think their fans would like it too. Honestly, it'd be big for just college basketball as a whole to see that. So maybe in future years, if they need somebody to play, we can step up there for them. So. Yep. I don't know. Last question I got for you here, just on this current Terps team. Your 2014, 2015 team against this current Terps team. How's that one turn out?
We have some dogs on my team, and we didn't quite have the offensive firepower on the front court like they do, but
Mm-hmm.
we had some strong defenders, and we had,
for sure.
I'm always going to take my guys over anybody. It's like that team is capable as this team was. So I'm definitely rolling with my guys. I think we come out with a win because what we got? We got Melo versus Gillespie. We got Dez versus Miguel. Rashad Pack versus Rice. Inside we got DeMonte. We got Jake Lehman. I'm rolling with my guys. I think that we got a chance to definitely win that. It'd be a hell of a matchup though if that ever happened, but
I think Jake's the X factor, right? Like there really isn't a guy in that starting five that matches up particularly well with him. I don't think.
Yeah, Jake really when Jake moved to the power forward position, it really like opened up his game, and it made us so difficult to guard because Jake can drive it, he can post it, but he's also a tremendous shooter. So he just became a matchup nightmare, and that's part of the reason that we started really racking off some wins, and we just became like so difficult to deal with.
Last thing here, anything you want to plug on your end? I know you're doing some podcasting here as well, so can you tell folks where they can find that and check that out?
Yeah, I do the Club JG podcast weekly, just on different topics in sports. And you can definitely follow that on the socials. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, and I'm also on Facebook and YouTube.
I love that. Jon, thank you for doing this. Would love to have you back on throughout the way here. Maybe we can touch base before the Maryland tournament run or something like that. But glad to hear you're doing well and helping us kind of get some energy going for this thing coming up here in the summer.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate you putting me on here.
All right, everybody, you know the drill. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that like button for us, rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. Really appreciate it. Tell a friend here. Like I said, we're trying to build this thing up, get Terp fans excited about the summer coming up. And obviously, got a big run here in March, hopefully coming for this year's team, represented by betonline.ag and Vision Media Solutions. And we will catch you all next time.